Hello, my name is Hagai Yasuor. I will talk about plant nutrition as a tool for improving vegetable crops performance under heat stress condition with my colleague Dan Hummus Cohen. Vegetable crops are growing throughout Israel. You can see the circle from the northern part to the southern part. My plant model is a pepper, as in is growing in the western Negev, in the southern Negev, in the Arava Valley, and also in the Jordan Valley in the northern part of the coast shore. And I will concentrate in this crop during this talk. Vegetable crops are growing in Israel under passive building houses, greenhouses and net houses. And this is mainly because of energy cost issues. So farmers are growing without any, almost without any cooling systems and other options. So they just use shed nets and some screen that can open and close regarding to what is needed, or cover with plastic during the winter time. So why to grow inside cover? So this is mainly, as we mentioned, to improve the climate condition during winters. They might extend the season in the cooler seasons like springtime and autumn time. But mainly if the farmers want to stand for some GAP standards and other EU and other around the world standards that they can produce and ship their product overseas, they need to protect it from some use of insecticide. So they need to protect from insects, and we will talk about it shortly. As I mentioned, these greenhouses are mainly can affect preventing entering of insects like white flies, and then preventing some vector, or to be a vector for viruses disease. They can allow the farmers to use more friendly, environmental friendly and friendly IPM methods. However, there is problems whenever you put the crops under a cover, on the plastic, or under a 50 mesh nets. And this is mainly the high temperature that's inside this structure. So there is some examples. On the left side, you can see pepper growing in the Arava Valley, very high temperature during the early season. And then again in the end of the season, in the springtime of the next year. And because we are not affecting much of the environment, so there is sometimes very low temperature during the winter. On the right side, another example from the Negev highline, and you can see that there is, again, very high temperatures going all the way, sometimes up to the 50 Celsius, with a cooler night as compared to the Arava, but still very warm. And on the right up part, you can see hourly during the day of one of the months, you can see that we more than 10 hours per day, more than 35 sometimes, or more than 30 Celsius in this structure. And this is causing a lot of problems. The main problem that you can see is reduction in pollen viability. And other, sometimes the female organ can be modified, as we can see on the left side. And this is causing to reduction in yield. All this process of pollen formation, pollen germination in the female organ is very susceptible to high temperature. And you see that nothing will germinate whenever we go into 35, as compared to lower temperature, 25 is the optimal, and even cooler temperature not affected as much as the high temperatures. And this is the results of it. Farmers in a hot summer can receive zero yield. Sometimes one fruit from 6 other fruits can be show setting. So it's a very reduction in very much of the yield. And this was a big tomato, similar phenomena also in cherry tomato. And the farmers usually want to find or to receive nice fruit production like that. It's become even more problematic on the background of viruses diseases. We are starting to get very low fruit setting, very low fruit size, as you see on the left side, as compared to normal fruit formation, in this case, cherry tomato. And as we mentioned, the farmers would like to have such a nice greenhouse in the end of the day. So what we can do about it? We can chill up or cool our greenhouse using cooling PET greenhouses. or maybe use some fogging system in order to chill up the air temperature. However, these cooling pads are working just in small greenhouses, and fogging system can work quite nicely, but it's needed to pressurize the water, so everything is energy cost to do. However, it's work. So you can see there is reduction of temperature by sometimes, if the area are dry, we are talking about 6 to 7 Celsius reduction. And you see there how it's affecting the fruit set and also the fruit color. However, it's mainly work under dry condition and not in a more humid condition. But if we are looking in the overall, we can improve our quality of the fruit that we can harvest. This is in cherry tomatoes. You can see that some of the cultivars don't need it because they're quite tolerant to this phenomenon of high temperature, but we can improve yield in the end of the season. We need to keep in mind that in such a crop, we have also bees that are affected by temperatures. And if the temperature is not favorable, they can cause some damages to the flowers. However, this cooling system, or if we are cooling just the hives, it's energy cost, and we need to keep it in mind. There is one problem with this usage of cooling pads, that we are forcing air inside the greenhouse. And with that, sometimes we are also introducing insects that can deliver viruses disease. In this case, TY, we can see that after 2 weeks of working of the system, a susceptible cultivar showing us 50% of the plants got these virus symptoms. So this is a problem that we need to keep in mind in order to prevent insects that are a carrier for viruses diseases. Also, pepper suffer very much from high temperature. This is an example on the left side. You see reduction in pollen viability. This blue color is symptoms of non-viable pollen. Under high temperature, under plastic cover, we see that there is smaller fruits, and you can see that there is correlation between the black dots are from the plastics, are smaller fruits with lower seed production, and the empty ones are coming from the net, more favorable conditions. Another symptom that is happening under high temperature, this is flower bud drying and dropping from the plant. And if we're now focusing on this phenomena, it's coming just for plants have a problem to maintain these flower buds. We can see that the flower buds are formed, but it's dropping them later on. So what we can do about it? So farmer was found that if they are reducing the nitrogen, or they are stopping the nitrogen 1 month after planting, you can see now with 4 weeks of stopping the nitrogen, how pepper plant is look. You can monitor it very nicely by measuring the nitrate level in the petiole. So you see the dropping in the nitrate level, regardless the cultivar, and as compared to the control one, see that it does not change much during the season. And whenever you put it back, you can see very fast returning of the nitrate to the petiole. So what is doing? So if now we are counting the number of fruitlets, so you can see very nicely that under control condition in the October, you receive more or less 7 fruitlets. And after, if we compare it to 28 days of nitrogen recession, we almost double the number of the fruits. So this is showing us that we can affect fruit formation using this nitrogen recession. Also, we can reduce or change the amount of nitrogen. If we now returning with either 50 part per million of nitrogen or 150, we can cause similar effect. Now in the control treatment, we receive more fruits under a low level of nitrogen. And this is to see how it's acting throughout the season. So all the dashed lines are different cultivars after 35 days of nitrogen recession. And you see that they accumulate more fruits as compared to the control condition. However, sometimes to some of the cultivars, this was too much and the plant was stuck and in the overall produced less fruits as compared to the other treatment. So we need to take it in consideration. Another examples from recent research that we conduct in Arava Valley, you can see the red line is presented how nitrogen recession is working. You see this more than double the yield. The blue line is demonstrate how we return in the nitrogen, either with 150 ppm or with 50. So we always can improve it by the way that we are returning the nitrogen. So nitrogen have a major role controlling fruit production in peppers. Except from fruit set, also the other problems of high temperature is the fruit quality. So under high temperature, we are getting these heat damages, and under low temperature, we are getting chilling damages. And so we will focus just on the heat damages because this is where we evaluate how plant nutrition can affect that. So this is how it's look. Whenever you are look inside the pericarp, you see that all the cells of the pericarp are dead. And I will concentrate on two elements, manganese and calcium. So we know that micronutrients are very important, and we see other factors that they are affecting, but I will focus, as I mentioned, on manganese and calcium. So we conduct several experiments by applying manganese as a fertilizer in a soilless culture. It allows us to get all the way to even manganese deficiency symptoms. So when we evaluate how it's affecting the accumulation of manganese, we can see that the experiment work and the leaves accumulate very nice, regardless of the cultivar, accumulate manganese. And also the fruit, we see some increase. However, leaves, and is true for all other, almost all other nutrients, accumulate much less microelements, in this case, manganese, 6 to 7 times less. And we see it also when we quantify the amount of manganese inside this fruit, you see that increase. The negative side of it that we always, if someone is going up, someone is going down. In this case, zinc was going down in the fruit tissue. However, whenever we are tested how it's affecting the heat damages, we see that in tolerant cultivar, we can improve the fruit quality and receive more fruit without any damage symptoms. And however, in parallel, we see the reduction of the low, medium, and high fruit damages. However, in susceptible cultivar, we cannot affect it. So if you are too susceptible, you cannot affect this issue. And this is mainly by affecting either enzymatic action of the manganese in the superoxidase mutase that is dealing with reactive oxygen species, or by manganese itself could be an antioxidant as compared to vitamin E. You see that is very good antioxidant by itself. So what about calcium? So calcium is known for its role in different aspects of plant development, signaling, but also strengthening the plant cell wall and plant membrane. So we want to evaluate if it can affect also heat damages. We know that it is involved in different physiological disorders like blossom end rot, some similar phenomena in green vegetables, cracking in tomato, similar phenomena also in apples, and other phenomena. And we found that pepper fruit, that damaged pepper fruit, heat damaged pepper fruit accumulate